Okay, well, while I'm waiting for the power to come on, I'm going to tell you all a story. Of course, it won't be posted until after the power comes on, but it's given me something to do in the meantime to keep me out of trouble. Um, my grandma, my dad's mother, she passed away in September of 1988 from cancer. She had a long battle with it. She was diagnosed in 1983. And her passing was in 1988. She died at home like she wanted to, or my family facilitated her doing that. And her doctor was really good about that too. Her doctor actually made house calls, which even by 1988 doctors didn't do. So, good on him for that. That was Dr. Drummond in Perth that did that. Anyway, here's the story. All my growing up, I was 20 years old when my grandma died, so I was a young man when my grandma died. I was really close to my grandma. She was really like a second mother to me, and I do miss her a great deal. But even after all these years, I've never forgotten her, and I always miss her. But I know she's in a better place. I know she's better off where she is than she ever was lying in that bed suffering in pain all for those 5 years that she was dying of cancer. And so I'm happy for her to be where she's at. But here's the story anyway. There was a couple of miracles that happened around the time of my grandmother's death. I've described one of them in a previous video, but I'm going to describe a different one now. My grandma, she was a product of the Great Depression. She was a young woman in the 1930s. And so she really didn't like to admit that if she got attached to any particular thing, to a material thing, she didn't like to admit that, There was just something about it. But she had a cuckoo clock, a really neat old cuckoo clock, and she loved that thing, but she'd never admit it. She'd always, whenever she talked about that cuckoo clock, she'd say, "Oh, that stupid clock," "Oh, that stupid thing," or whatever. She'd never admit that she loved that clock. But she did, and we all knew she loved it, and that was one of her favorite things, was that cuckoo clock. And when I was a little boy, I remember all us grandchildren used to wait for the hour to change, for the top of the hour, you could say. And then we'd stand in the dining room, which was just off the kitchen, where the cuckoo clock hung on the wall, and we would wait for the cuckoo bird to come out, and that was always a big thing for us, because we get to see the cuckoo bird. Anyway, my grandmother died at 7 p.m. on a Tuesday evening. That's when she finally passed away. Exactly 24 hours later, that cuckoo clock stopped running. Now, my oldest sister, Denise, inherited the cuckoo clock, and she took it to two different clockmakers, and they both looked at it. These are guys that build clocks and fix clocks for a living. They both looked at it, and they agreed that it didn't work anymore, but neither of them could find any reason why it shouldn't. They both said that it was in perfect shape. There was no reason in the world that it shouldn't run. They couldn't fix it because they couldn't figure out what was wrong with it, because as near as they could tell, it was in perfect working order. That cuckoo clock has never worked. It quit at 7 p.m. on the Wednesday, exactly 24 hours after my grandmother died, in early September of 1988. Anyway, I just thought I'd tell you that story. It's kind of neat. And I guess the cuckoo clock, it died with her, I guess, So anyway, that's the story. That's the story of my grandma's cuckoo clock. I hope you're all having a good day. And I get a little emotional when I talk about my grandma. So I'm going to shut it down now. I'm going to shut the phone down now. All right. Talk to y'all later. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Bye for now.